So here in pages, I'm going to add another page called message page. Now here on the click of any message group, I'm going to navigate to that message page. So let me create here one method. Now here on message page, I'm just going to add ID. So from parameter, I'm going to pass that. Okay, so when this page open, I'm going to call load messages method, and here FireTalk service I'm going to use. So first I'm going to create one method here in FireTalk service. Get user chats, and here I'm going to pass group ID. And also here I'm going to add order by descending on the field created at. So whenever we create a message, we are storing that time detail here in this property. So it's going to order. And also I'm going to add pagination. So for that I'm going to add page size also. So from this snapshot, I'm just going to fetch all chat details. Now this method I will add here. So declaration will be here. Now here on message page, I will fetch data from get user chats. And this group ID I'm going to pass here, and page size I'm going to set here. Let's say 20. Now this messages I'm going to add here in one collection. Now here I'm going to display chat detail. So let me add code here. I'm going to use mud chat, and here mud chat bubble. So this get weekly date info method I'm going to add here also. And one loader also I'm going to add here. When the chat is loading, that time just display loader. Okay, now here on this mud card, I'm going to add on click, and on the click of this card, I'm going to call on message group click method. And in this method, I'm going to pass group info. Now let's see it's returning any chat detail or not on the click of group. Okay, it's throwing some error, so let me just check. Okay, so here it's showing the query require index, so I need to create index by clicking on this. Okay, so when you click on this link, it will automatically create this index. Once it created, then it will start to display chat detail. So let me read in the application now. Okay, so here on the click of group, it's loading chat detail. Now here in mud chat bubble, we are only displaying that message and the date information. We are not fetching that user name here. So for that, here another method I'm going to call to fetch that user detail. So whatever the member available in this group, that member detail we're going to fetch from FireTalk service. After that, we're going to set here. So whoever sent that message, that name is going to display here. Okay, so to fetch user details, we needed member details available in particular group. So from the previous page, we are going to bring entire group object on this page. So for that I am going to create one service class here in models. To maintain state between two pages, I am going to create app state class. Now this class I am going to add here in MAUI program.cs. Okay. Now here on home page, instead of passing group ID from here, I am just going to pass. Let me add here first app state. Now here I will set app state dot current data is equal to this group I am going to set here. Now in just navigate to, I am just going to set here message page only. We don't need this group ID here now. Now here on message page, I am going to remove this and create one class type of message group model. Now here I will set group detail from app state dot current data. I am going to convert in type of message group model. Now let's run the application and see that group detail is returning or not. Here also I'm going to set group ID from this object, group details object. Okay, so now from previous page, it's loading all the group details. Now using this member IDs from FireStore collection, I'm going to load user details. Okay, so here I'm going to create one method. Here I am going to create one method called get user details by IDs. In that I'm going to pass list of user IDs. Now I'm going to find all the users detail where in. So in this user collection, just has the user detail where ID is going to match with that user collection IDs. And now just convert to user model this document and return from this method. This method I'm going to add here. Now here on message phase, another method I'm going to create, get user details method. And now from group details members, I'm going to fetch user details. Now here I'm going to call this get user details method. So it's going to first load user details, and after that it's going to load messages. Now here in load messages, I'm going to set okay, I'm going to set here one property is sender, and another property owner name. And here I am going to check main layout.userinfo.id. So if the owner ID is matching with this ID, that means it's a sender. Now this owner name I am going to fill from this user detail that we stored here in user details variable. Now here I'm going to add mud avatar. I'm going to display user initial. Here I'm going to call get user initial method, and in that I'm going to pass owner name. Okay, now let me run application and let's see it's displaying user initial or not. Okay, so on the click of group, now it's displaying user initial. I'm going to remove this semicolon so it will display correctly. Now I'm going to add here one text box and one button for sending new messages. So let's add that. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this merge tag in div tag, and here I'm going to set height as a 85 VH, and this chatting detail height I'm going to set as 100%. Now another merge sec I'm going to add. Here I'm going to add mud tags fill. Okay, one text fill and one mud icon button I'm going to use. Okay, now let's run the application and let's see it's displaying text box or not. Okay, let me set another thing here. Variant is equal to, here I'm going to set as outline. Okay, now another thing here in main layout, I'm going to add here mud container, and here I'm going to set padding. Now let me run the application. Okay, so now it's displaying correctly. Now here I'm going to add logic. On the click of send button, it's going to save detail in FireStore collection and going to display here. Okay, so here now on message page, I'm going to create one method. On create message, and here I'm going to use FireTalk service dot create chat message. Here owner ID I'm going to set from main layout dot user info dot id. Then created at I'm going to use timestamp dot from date time, and I'm going to pass here date time dot utc now. Now here ID I'm going to set new GUID. Now let me check here if string is null or white space message tags, then don't perform any operation, otherwise create new message. Now I'm going to add this chat object here in chat collection also. So let me bring this object out here. Now chats dot add new message, and same object I'm going to call here also. Another boolean property I'm going to create is sending. Once API response return, then I'm going to set is sending property to false. Now this on create message method I'm going to call here on button click event. Okay, now here this collection also I'm going to sort by ascending. Okay, now let me run the application and let's see. Okay, it's sending message but it's not displaying owner name, so let me set that here. And also it's not clearing this test message tags. So first I'm going to set owner name. Okay, now once a message is sent, I'm going to clear the text box. Message text is equal to string.empty. Okay, another thing, right now all the sender messages displaying left side. So I'm going to align these sender messages right side and all the receiver messages left side. So for that, here in merge chat, you can set chat position. So here I'm going to check if chat.sender is equal to true, then set this chat position to end, otherwise chat bubble position to start. Now let me run application and let's see. Okay, so now sender message is displaying here right side. Now let me send another message, this message to. So it's clearing text box as well as it's showing here. Now let me run this application in another simulator and log in using another user. Okay, so another simulator I'm going to open. And here I'm going to log in using abc1@gmail.com. Okay, so now here sender messaging displaying right side and receiver displaying left side. Now let me send one message from here. Is message 3. Now let me just reopen this group and let's see it displaying or not. Okay, so here receiver message displaying left side. Now I'm going to implement listener here. So real time here message will display, sender and receiver message will display here. So let's implement that. Okay, so here I'm going to create one method, subscribe to message listener. Another thing I'm going to use here, FireStore service, and here FireStore DB object I'm going to create. Okay, so from the FireStore service, I am going to take this database reference and assign to this variable. Now using this FireStore DB, I am going to subscribe to listener. So for that, here from the chats collection, I am going to write query where equal to. So first thing I'm going to match that group ID is equal to from the group detail dot ID. Another condition I'm going to add is where greater than or equals to, here created at now timestamp from date time, and here I'm going to pass date time dot UTC now. So this listener is going to listen for any changes in collection from this timestamp that I have specified. Another thing, limit to last. So I'm just going to specify page size. So it's going to fetch last 20 changes. And I'm going to order this data based on this created at property. Now here in listen, so here snapshot the changes that count greater than 0. So if any changes in this collection with the specified condition, like the collection, chat collection matching this group ID and the created ad going to be after the specified time, that changes it's going to bring here. Now, okay, so here if the change type is added, because every time we are going to create new message, so it's always going to be added. But if you want to implement, let's say you want to implement that any chat you're going to delete in future, so that condition also you can add here. If the deleted, removed or modified, that also you can use here. So for now in here in this application, I'm going to use only added. So if the new chat is added, then I'm just going to add this chat in chats collection. So before that, first thing I want to check whether this chat exists in chat collection already or not. Because if I'm sender and I'm sending message, then we are already adding in chat collection directly. So that time to avoid duplicate record added in chat collection, so we are going to check here if chats.any record matching with this new chat.id, then just return, don't perform any action. Otherwise just add in this chat. Now this method I am going to call here subscribe to message listener. Here I am going to add one FireStore change listener, and this listener object I'm going to assign here. Now I'm going to create another method dispose. So when the page is no longer used, then it's going to stop listening. Now let me run the application. Okay, so here sender is read only. So this we don't need. Now let me run. Okay. Now let me send message from this device, and let's see it displaying here or not. Okay, so here listener is working. Now this app I'm going to run in another emulator also. Now from this simulator I'm going to reply here. Okay, so it displaying. Now here I'm going to add scrolling, and when I scroll up, that time I'm going to load older messages. So let's implement that functionality also. Okay, so here in merge tag I'm going to add overflow and flex direction, and also for this container I'm going to set ID as a chat container. Now let me add script for scroll handler. I already written that script, so that I'm going to add here. Now I'm going to create on scroll top method. So when the container, when user scroll and it reach to top of the screen, that time is going to invoke on scroll top method. And another function created scroll to bottom. So whenever new message come, that time we're going to call this method, so it will scroll to bottom, and this we're going to use to dispose the scroll listener. Now I'm going to add here .NET object. So using this on scroll top method will invoke. So here .NET object reference of message page type. Now here in on after render async method, I'm going to set this .NET reference object, and another thing I'm going to invoke this scroll handler dot initialize scroll listener. Now let me add here JavaScript runtime. I'm going to add here. So when the page is open, that time you're going to initialize the scroll listener as well as initialize this page object here in .NET reference variable. Now here I'm going to create one method on scroll to top method, and here I'm going to set this invocable. Now let's see when I scroll to top, this method is calling or not. Okay, so when I scroll up, then this method is calling. Now another thing, here after loading messages, I am going to call scroll to bottom method. Okay, now let me rerun the application and let's see. Okay, so it's scrolling to bottom of screen when the message is loaded. Now when I scroll up, that time it's scroll to top method is calling. So here now we're going to add the logic related to load older messages. So here I'm going to create one method first. I'm going to fetch last message. Now here chat query I'm going to write where group ID is going to be group detail.id, then order by descending, and fetch data after this last message dot created at. and load 20 record here. Okay, so here each document available in this snapshot.document, I'm going to check whether this chat detail available in this chat collection or not. If it is available, then don't perform anything, just continue. Otherwise, I'm going to create another collection object, new messages is equal to new list of chat model, and all new messages add here in this object, this collection. Now I'm going to check if new message dot count greater than 0, then I'm going to insert this all older messages here at 0 index. Okay, now here I call state has changed method. Another thing, I'm going to add one property here, private book is loading more messages. So here in load more messages, I'm going to set here is loading more messages to true, and if it is already in process, then directly return from here. Otherwise, just set here is loading more messages to true, and once the response comes from this FireStore API, here I'm going to set to false. Now here in UI, I'm going to display loader. Either the message is loading or is loading more messages. In the both the condition, I'm going to show this loader. Now here I'm going to call this load more messages method. Now here in dispose method, I'm going to make this dispose method as a dispose async. So first I'm going to stop FireStore listener, then I'm going to stop scroll listener also. So here I am going to call scroll handler dot dispose scroll listener. Also here I am going to dispose .NET reference. Now let me run the application. Okay, so here after sending message, it not scrolling down. So for that here in load messages, sorry, not in load messages, when the message is created, that time I am going to call scroll to bottom method. Also, whenever new message added, that time also I'm going to call scroll to bottom. Now let me run the application. Okay, so now it's scrolling to bottom of screen. Now let me run this application in another emulator also. Okay, now I'm going to message from this emulator. So here in receiver device also, it's scrolling to bottom. Okay, now I'm going to set here page size to 10. So by default, it's going to load 10 messages. And after on scrolling up, it's going to load older messages. Okay, so here it's loading older messages, but this loader is not going away. So here in load more messages, I am going to call state has been changed method for showing loader as well as here hiding loader. And here I'm going to send more messages so we can paste. So by default, it's going to load 10 messages, then remaining 4 messages, it's going to load on scroll up. Okay, now when I scroll up, it's loaded older messages. Okay, now here for every unique user, we're going to assign random color. So let's add that. So here I'm going to create one dictionary. It's going to contain user ID and user color. Now I'm going to create one method. Okay, so this method will check if color info available in this dictionary collection, then it's going to return from here. Otherwise, it's going to generate random color and going to store in this user color information. Now this method I am going to call here in get user details. Here for each user in user details. Now I'm going to call generate random color, and in that I'm going to pass user.user ID, and this is going to add all the user random color in this user color info dictionary. Now with the owner name, I'm going to create another property here, owner background color, and this I'm going to set here chat dot owner background color is equal to generate random color, and in that I'm going to pass user info dot id. Okay, so wherever I'm setting owner name, there I need to set this owner background color. Okay, now I'm going to set this background color here in mud outer. Here style I'm going to set. So here now I'm going to set background color from chat dot owner background color. Now let me run application. Okay, so it's generating random color for the user. Now I'm going to create another user. So let me log out from here. Okay, now another user also I'm going to create. Now let me create here group with this all member. Let me refresh this page. Okay, so still here group not displaying. So let me check in FireStore collection. So here in groups, okay, group 3 is created, but here in members, this owner ID not stored here. So let me check here, create group logic. So here's in members, I am adding logged in user. Yeah, here I did mistake. Instead of using this members, still I am using this object. So instead of this, I am going to use this members. Now let me rerun the application. And again, I'm going to create group. Okay, now let's check here. Okay, so now this logged in user also available in this members list. So now if I refresh this page, then it's displaying here group 4 and test message also here it displaying. Now let me log in using another user here. Okay, so here it displaying both the group 3 and group 4 because this member included in both the group. Now let me send message here. Now let me set this send button color here in message page. Also here variant, I'm going to set variant dot field. Okay, next video I try to create on adding people in this group, then removing people from this group, then displaying here chat header, then this profile page.